Welcome back to another episode of the Pain, Performance, and Porrada podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nick Smith. I'm a licensed physical therapist and strength and conditioning coach for jiu-jitsu and other combat athletes. Today's episode, we're going to dig into sleep. And before you turn off this episode, you're like, nobody cares. I'm going to share a little story about just a little bit about my sleep journey and just things I've kind of gathered, gleaned over the course of my career and how important sleep is for recovery. And I would say that pretty close to 100% of the athletes I've worked with have some sort of issue with sleep, whether it's getting to sleep, whether it's staying asleep, having some kind of consistent schedule, just overall sleep hygiene. I would say 99 times out of 100 needs some kind of addressing. I think I have one active client on my roster. Shouts to my boy Jason, who is just like so on top of it because he's so meticulous about his recovery. And we never talk about sleep, unless, he's jet lagged or whatever, but his sleep hygiene is mid and mine could be better. So with that being said, what prompted this, most recently is I just got back from an appointment from Kaiser, about a year ago. Around the same time that I was having some of these hormone issues, I was going through a stint where I was feeling awful when I woke up. And at first I was chalking it up to new dad. My daughter's not sleeping through the night. She was bed sharing with us for a while. She'd kick me in the face in the middle of the night. She'd cry. She needed to be changed, whatever. And, of course you're not going to sleep well. You're being disturbed constantly. But there got to be a point where, we transitioned out of bed sharing and my daughter started sleeping through the night, which was a godsend. It was like the second happiest time of my life. I never realized how bad it was until, I got it back. And then I was like, I'm never going to treat sleep with, I'm going to respect sleep, basically. Like, don't screw yourself over. It's beautiful. So she gets out. I start sleeping consistently 7-8 hours a night. No change. Wake up feeling terrible, like not recovering from my workouts, the whole thing. So this is kind of, if you've listened to the previous podcast about my testosterone journey, this is what kind of sparked me like, hey, I'm almost 35. Like, let's start figuring this out. Let's not caught with our pants down. Let's make sure I'm not like getting sick or whatever. So I go in, I meet with my primary over a telephone visit. I tell him, basically that I'm suicidal and, I was depressed as shit. And I was like, hey, now that my daughter's not bed sharing with us, I still don't feel any better. I really don't see a marked improvement. And so he's like, oh, you got apnea, you got sleep apnea. I don't think you have low testosterone. He was half right. I had terribly low testosterone, which there's a whole episode and you can dig into that. So I went the apnea route, right? So I go in, do the sleep study, it comes back, and I have mild apnea. I'm like, okay, so he was sort of right, but it wasn't like so severe that I'm like, this is probably not the issue. So I ended up going the whole TRT route, which you guys have, if you've listened before, my story, that's much improved. My hormone levels are much more even now. But I never followed up with apnea because they gave me two options, right? And two options were, okay, well, since you have mild apnea, you don't necessarily have to get a CPAP. You can go in, you go to another Kaiser, you need to go get an x-ray. Once the x-ray goes through, we'll schedule you, we'll get fitted for an oral appliance. They'll make it, you'll have to come in to get the oral appliance fitted, the whole thing. So it was like 3 additional visits on top of that. Guess what? I didn't show up. I know. I talk shit to people who don't follow up. And there's the lesson there, and we're going to talk about it at the end. I never showed up for my appointment. I never got the x-ray, and I never got anything done. So my sleep was like sort of improving, but I just had so much more energy because hormones were just feeling more normal. But now that I've been about, a little over a year into it, still not, I'm yawning right now. I still don't feel like I'm recovering super well in the mornings. Some mornings are really tough to get out of bed, like really tough. I'll get the designated amount 7+, and I'm just like, dude, why can you not get out of bed. And so I was like, you know what? Let's cut the BS and get this done. So I called Kaiser back and I was like, hey, I got the sleep study done a while ago, blah, blah, blah. I want to come back in. I was supposed to get the oral appliance, never followed up with it. I want the CPAP. I know that I'm going to be compliant with it. If it's at the house, I'm going to put it on, I'm going to wear it. So this morning, I had my appointment to get fitted. I have a CPAP at my house, which is wild to think about. I always thought CPAP was for like, people who are like really overweight and, they have, issues with respiratory disease and just like heart disease and all this stuff. And things I'm learning, not so much. There are a lot of fit people out there who have sleep apnea. Some of it is a genetic component. Some of it is, it's nurture, nature being genetics, nurture being just the lifestyle. I even came to find out that like neck circumference, like your actual muscularness of your neck can create a little bit of pressure in the airway. And since I've been on TRT, I've put on over an inch in my neck alone. I think it's closer to 2. I no longer fit in any of my dress shirts. My dress shirts, I had to throw them all away. Well, I haven't thrown them away, but I can't wear them anymore because my neck is like, argh. So I was curious if like maybe that was contributing to it, but the apnea was not taken care of. So needless to say, I went to Kaiser, picked it up. It's at home right now. I set it up. I'm going to be having my first night of sleep with a CPAP tonight. This is 35. What the fuck? But when it comes to sleep, I mean, it can't be oversold. You've heard it a million times. It's the number one recovery tool that you have essentially unlimited access to. And I understand some of you have jacked up work schedules and whatever. Some of you are new parents. I understand that doesn't necessarily apply. But for the rest of you who kind of work a normal 9 to 5, you don't have anything that's really extraneous, there shouldn't be any reason why you can't get 7 hours of sleep unless you're just choosing not to or just making bad decisions. I was included in that before, stand up with my phone too long, not putting my phone away, not having the systems in place, not having the appropriate habits. But, sleep, if you're going through an injury, imperative. If you're looking to reduce the likelihood of injury, imperative. If you're looking to feel better, look better, sleep is everything. It really is everything. And although I am talking about this, I am far from perfect. Believe me, I could put my screen away a lot earlier. I could be doing a lot of other things. I could probably even get to bed even earlier than I do. But I've had to really make this shift because I essentially get up at 4 a.m. every morning now. Daughter's asleep. I can work a little bit. I'm unbothered. I'm focused. Those like couple hours between 4 and 6 before I jump in and go lift in my garage, it's pretty lights out. I'm focused. But since I've had to wake up early, I've had to make those adjustments. Like I'm in bed now. I can't be in bed any later than 9:30. And I'm really trying to get bed closer to 9. The closer I'm in bed and asleep by 9, life is good. But when it comes to setting up your sleep hygiene, there's a lot of different things. If you're going to take something home tangible today, I want you to think about what is the thing that you do, assuming you're not going out, going to the movies, going to dinner, something that's maybe not on your normal agenda. But let's just say it's like a random Wednesday night. You're coming home from work, you work, assuming a normal-ish job, and you just have another day the next day. It's not a weekend. It's not anything else. What does your last hour of awake time look like for you? And really dissect that. Are you consuming TV? Are you doom scrolling about the current political climate? Are you, looking at trending prices of Pokemon cards? What is that thing that you're doing in that last hour? And really see, is that something I need to be doing right now? Right? Could I be swapping phone out for a book? Or just doing something that kind of down-regulates your system a little bit, gets you more prepared to put you in the moment for sleep, so when your head hits the pillow, you're out. Have you consumed caffeine, closer than 8 hours before bed, preferably 12? Just like looking at those things, and just kind of identify maybe there's a big gap. And maybe you're not sure. And that's kind of the whole point. If you're looking for something to kind of optimize your sleep scenario, there's a lot of like tips and tricks to kind of be like, hey, this is going to make things better. There's an optimal temperature for the room that you're in. There's, caffeine shouldn't be consumed 12 hours before bed. No booze, no tobacco. Like there's a lot of stuff that would regulate your sleep. People think that THC helps you, it helps with sleep, helps you get to sleep, but then you're not hitting your deep REM cycles, which are the ones that help you recover. So like, don't smoke before bed. That's actually bad for you. And there's tons of resources out there. Why We Sleep is a great book, or if you just want to listen to his podcast, Matthew Walker he's like the dude when it comes to sleep. But when you're thinking about recovery for jiu-jitsu, when you're thinking about recovery just in general, and or if you're somebody that's just been consumed or worried about sleep itself, this is important. It's like the most important thing you can do. It's like strength training and sleep are like the two longest, biggest predictors of longevity, not just in the sport, but just living. Your likelihood of cardiovascular health goes down, metabolic diseases goes down, all the things. So sleep, lift some weights, profit. But if you're somebody who's been dealing with sleep issues and you'd like to dig into this a little bit more, I'd love to be able to talk to you about it. At least get you in the right direction if it's something that's easily modifiable with, just some habits. And are you willing to put in that work to get those extra hours in, or even just an extra 30 minutes build up to that amount that you want. But until next time, remember, pain is not something you should fear, just something you should respect. This is the way. See you.